Okay, Bachelorette recap, week before hometowns. Let's get into it. Okay, my very first note on this episode is actually nothing to do with the storyline. I just want more glam from the cinematography. You know how on Love Island or some of these Netflix shows, these people get these like slow-mo cameos and it's so cheesy and it's like,
this week, a hot new bombshell enters the villa.
Don't call me up, I'm going out tonight. Feeling good now you're out of my life. Don't wanna talk about us.
it's like that. It's literally like that, and I don't know, it just kind of glamorizes the whole thing. And I know that's not the Bachelor or the Bachelorette style, but that's what I want. Like, let's glamorize this stuff. Like, I just feel like the filming style is so old school, like, and that's not the cameraman's fault. That is like a creative direction from the show, and I'm sure they're like, this is our style, this is our vibe, we're not like that. But let's be like that, because I feel like the younger generation, like stylistically, like this is shot very old school. Can we get an upgrade? That's where I'm at. Okay, the episode starts off so dramatic. Jenn is like, where's Sam? So everyone is hooked immediately, including myself, because I'm like, oh, Sam is in trouble. What does Sam do? And obviously we'll circle back at the end of the episode, but they really hooked me with that beginning dramatic scene. Okay, the episode starts in Seattle, Washington, and we see Charity. Beautiful. Okay, Charity and Jenn are like, are they the most stunning bachelorettes we've ever had? Like, face cards don't decline. Also, bodies, like, insane. They're both so hot and just beautiful. And they're both beautiful on the inside, from what I know. But yeah, so they had a conversation about the guys that were left, kind of where they were at. Charity said something I love. She said, I really had to ask myself what I needed. Because there's a difference between what you might want and what you might need. It kind of comes down to like the chemistry you have with somebody versus, you know, compatibility and longevity. And I am such a believer in like choosing for compatibility and longevity. Yes, chemistry is important, but when it comes to choosing a life partner, like you gotta have some of that chemistry, but you also have to choose somebody that is compatible. Somebody that's compatible. Oh my God, why does that word sound so weird to me right now? Anyways, somebody that's compatible. Somebody that's compatible with you and your life, but also, you know, somebody that is going to just be aligned, whether it's like morally, values, what you want out of life, like what you want your lifestyle to look like. That's really important to consider. So Charity made a really good distinction and said, I had to ask myself what I needed. And what you need is also what you want, you know? And for this episode, we're going from 7 guys to 4. That feels like a big jump. I know that's normal, but at this point, like things just move so quick and I'm like, dang, like 4 to 7 feels like a lot. So she's got some tough decisions to make this week. She did mention to Charity that Sam is somebody that she has like a really strong connection with, but reminds her of some of her exes. That was tough to hear, but you know what? I love that Jenn is just being so authentically herself, and she's like, this is the type of guy I would typically date. And Jenn has talked about her past and how some of these guys haven't been the best for her. So I think we're starting to get a picture of like how she's feeling about Sam and how, you know, where her head is at in this. Okay, and then Marcus got the first one-on-one. They get to the Wicked date and they are greeted by Kelsey and Daisy. Literal cuties, like the cutest little sweetie pies. Like, oh, I just want to meet both of them. I just feel like I'd be friends with both of them, and they're just vibrant and fun, and they would bring joy to anyone's life. So they are leading the date. It's like the Yellow Brick Road. I'll be honest, I didn't like love this date. I did think it was cute and it was on theme. Obviously they partnered with Wicked, which can't wait to see. But I didn't think the date was like, well, you know what? I take that back. I constantly say there needs to be more dates that are less like helicopter, jumping out of an airplane. Like we need less of that and more of like real life dates. And so I will say I thought it was a little bit like cheesy and like maybe boring-ish, but I loved like the popping of the balloons with the notes and the letters and the message from Marcus's sister back home. This really reminded me of my hometown date where I felt like production was really pushing me to be emotional. And like, I'm an emotional person anyways. So I was like, I remember thinking, I was like, they're like withholding information and then they would tell you information about who's going to be at your hometown or whatever. And it was really just like such an emotional thing. And I think they really need people to be like feeling and relating to these people. So Obviously with Marcus, his family situation, he got into it later in the evening portion of the date, but like the sisters no, and then the video message from her was like really building up like, oh, he has a really special relationship with his sister, and I want to hear more about that. Side note, guys with sisters tend to be more sensitive, at least in my experience. Like I feel like I've dated a lot of guys with brothers, and I feel like sometimes I dated this one guy that had 3 brothers and he was a cutie and he was sweet, but I've also dated a guy with 2 sisters, and that is one of the most like thoughtful guys I've ever dated. So I do think that like when you have a sister in your life, you just like accept women a little bit easier than guys who grew up with brothers. Like if you've been around this like women and it's like, oh yeah, girls are just sensitive, and like you kind of learn how to be around women and girls growing up. And I wonder if that like has influenced Marcus at all, because he seems like a tough cookie. Like he's like the onion. He's like the onion analogy from Shrek. Like you gotta peel back the layers. That's the vibe I get from Marcus, where it's like this tough guy, but maybe having a sister has kind of softened him, and I feel like we don't know him that well. We know a lot about him, but I feel like we gotta get through the layers. But I'm interested if like having a sister, if he's like a little sweetheart to date. I don't know. Jenn's mom wrote a letter, and obviously Jenn's storyline this whole time has kind of been like, you know, she came from a home that wasn't 2 parents that loved each other, and it was a little bit more complicated, and that's been a lot about, like, that's been heavily talked about throughout this season, and I think so many people relate to that. It's so common. But Jenn's mom wrote a letter, and even like in the letter you could tell how heartfelt it was, and she was like, I wish that I could have given you this dream life that you're like looking to create for yourself, and I'm sorry that I couldn't. But it sounds like Jenn's mom is so loving and so incredible. And Jenn even talked about her later, where she kind of said like, my mom is a little bit, I don't know if she said overbearing, but like maybe overprotective, I forget, but was basically like, she has the best heart. She loves me so much. And that's such a mom thing. I love that. I'm so thirsty. Also, I just had a guest come on Live Laugh Lies. Can't wait to share with you guys about her. She made me this cup. So cute. Okay, then the date, they just had to do something. So they went up into a hot air balloon, because obviously it's Marcus, he's a daredevil, fearless. Did the hot air balloon, so cool. That is one thing I've never done. I think I would do it. I'd be down to do it. And then the night portion of the date happens, and Marcus tells this gut-wrenching story about getting dropped off at daycare with his sister and his parents never coming back to pick him up. Oh my God. I was sick to my stomach hearing that. It like broke my heart. What a story, and like what an experience to overcome as a little kid. The trauma that surely created between him and his sister and their relationship to their parents and to people, I'm sure that has affected so many aspects of their life. And for Marcus, you know, for him to seem like such a kind person and to have this relationship with his sister, now we get why that's such an important relationship and so special. That was really, really, really sad to hear. Struck a chord with me. My parents became foster parents about 10 years ago, maybe. And my little sister was in the foster care system for 7 years before she came to my parents, who adopted her. And the shit my sister has been through and worked through, so proud of her. She is so incredible. And like, if you know anything about the foster care system, like the families, a lot of times the families you go to are not good people, and they add to your trauma. And it's so disheartening and so sad. It just makes it's so sad that Marcus could experience something like that from his own family, but to know that he then like bopped around in foster families and struggled within the foster system and feeling loved and all that stuff. My heart just goes out to him, sending him and his sister so much love. And anyone that has experienced the foster care system or been in a situation similar to that, like my heart just goes out to you. That is one of those things in life that like it definitely affects you. So that was beautiful to hear that story and to hear how it's affected him and his relationships and all that. So Marcus saying he's a slow burn, and that feeling like not a red flag to Jenn, but maybe an orange flag, where she was like, oh, like I'm fast and this process is fast, and like I don't want this to be a slow burn. To me, this kind of makes sense why Marcus is a slow burn. And I don't think there's anything wrong with like pacing yourself in relationships. The Bachelor is just not the most ideal place to do it because it's such an expedited process, but curious to see what that looks like. He's going to hometowns. I'm so excited to meet his sister and see what that looks like. Okay, and then we have this group date at the radio station. Girl, what? Girl, what? Okay, this group date was weird. I mean, the date wasn't weird. It was kind of a fun concept, but the way everything went was weird. Okay, Sam, I'm seeing a lot of stuff online. This is rumored. This is something that was sent to me about Sam's dad posting something, maybe it was on Facebook, about how his son was edited to look absolutely horrible. And like at the end of the day, I 1000% believe people can get a bad edit. It's so true. We see it happen every season. People get bad edits. But I also think like these things came out of your son's mouth. And it's okay to look crappy on TV. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, I totally get that people get so invested and it's horrible to watch yourself back. And like, it can only be manipulated so many ways. And the fact that this person said, and I quote, had to be edited this way to make sure Jenn didn't look like a complete idiot, that just shows us everything we need to know. Anyone that would speak that way about a woman who is the Bachelorette, who's going through an incredibly tough process where it's just impossible. It's impossible to know what is the right decision. The whole situation is so heavily manipulated that why would you call Jenn an idiot? That tells us everything we need to know. Did not like that. I think it's okay to defend your son and to come out and say, hey, this was incredibly disheartening. This was really hard to watch. I know my son's character. He's an amazing person. I hate the way this is being portrayed. Please, find it in your hearts to understand that this is a show and that some of this can be manipulated. Totally fair. Do not call Jenn an idiot. Do not talk about Jenn Tran that way. We stan her. We love her. She is beautiful. She's proving to us that she's educated, emotionally intelligent, smart, and thank God she sent your son home. Don't want to ruin it. I know we're not there in the recap yet, but okay, this is such a weird episode, and I think it's fair to say that reality TV brings out the best and the worst in a lot of us, but some of the things that Sam was saying it was so weird. Okay, fantasy suite, aggressive, and you know what? That's okay. Maybe he didn't mean it in the way that everybody perceived it, where it was that was kind of weird. But you know what? It's okay to be yeah, that was a weird thing that came out of my mouth. I didn't mean it like that. It's okay to say that. And it's okay to look stupid sometimes. That's okay. I look stupid a lot. And that's just being a human. But to come out and call somebody an idiot in defense of your son, ew. Ew. Again, this is rumored. I'm not friends with this person on Facebook, so I don't know. This was sent to me. If that is true, get it together. A lot of people look stupid on reality TV. Just say that. Okay, so Sam kept talking about this fiery passionate love, blah, blah, blah. And this to me feels like somebody that is in their early 20s, 21, 22, kind of stuck in that physical touch is my love language mentality. And physical touch is absolutely a love language, but I don't think, some people when they say that, I think especially men who are oh yeah, physical touch is my love language. And that's how I want to be loved. I also think that that's just such a cop-out for people who are emotionally unavailable to show up in other ways and show other kinds of love. Because yes, and physical touch is so important. And I would say that's one of my top ones as well. But also being able to have the emotional capacity to show up for your partner and, see their character, appreciate them for who they are. That was what Jenn was trying to get across. And she's no, I get it. You want this fiery, passionate love. I'm hearing you, but I need to know on a character level. I need to know on a moral level about our values, about who you think I am as a person. What do I bring to your life besides physical attraction, besides physical touch and things that are going to make you feel physically good? What do I bring to your life? What do you bring to mine? That's what I need to know. And he kept saying you're not hearing me. You're not listening to me. No, she can hear you, but you are not meeting her where she needs you to meet her. And I understand that's very frustrating for both of you. And I have compassion for Sam. He reminds me of a lot of people that I've met before where it's dang, I wish you kind of I wish it would click for you. But I think a lot of people haven't thought that deep into it. And I don't mean to be disrespectful and say this, but like, I don't know that Sam is ready for a life partner as he's saying he is. I feel like this, I don't want to be mean, but I'm like, immature guys say this all the time. I just want to find my wife. I just want to be a husband and a dad. And I'm like, okay, well then start acting like one, you know? And sure, anyone can technically be a dad, but like, how do you show up as a good father and a good husband? Like, what actions does that look like? Like, those are the questions you should be asking yourself. Not trying to like wife somebody up to become a husband, but act like a husband. Like, be respectful. Speak to your wife and about your wife in a way that your kids can look up to. But Sam has to dig deeper and figure that out before he's ready for like marriage. And let me be clear, I do not think that most people on The Bachelor or Bachelorette are ready for marriage. We're a bunch of weirdos. We went on reality TV to find love. We probably need therapy. Like, let's be real. And that's why we're all in it probably now, because you realize that, and that's okay. Like, we all have room to grow. I drank a really strong cup of coffee before this, if you can't tell. I'm also just like doing better today. Today's a good day. Okay, one more thing. I don't mean to harp on Sam. I really don't. But when he said to Jenn that she's not typically his type and that he thought it was gonna be Daisy or Kelsey, that could have been spliced up. I'm not sure, but most women aren't going to love to hear that they aren't like your typical type or your physical type. That's something I've really struggled with in relationships where like guys are like, I love who you are. I want to be with you. I want you to be my wife. But like, yeah, I typically wouldn't go for someone that looks like you or has your body type or this or that, which like, LOL that guys are saying that. You're kidding. You're kidding. But yeah, those are things that guys have said to me. And it is so painful because I'm like, okay, so you can recognize you like who I am in here, but you probably wish that I look different on the outside. No woman wants to hear that. And the best advice I can give to any guy that is pursuing a woman, like even if this person falls outside of your typical type, you know, I've dated a guy that fell outside of my typical type. I don't know that I have a type, but like I fell in love with the parts of him physically that were different from other guys that I was like typically attracted to. I never mentioned that, but those things that I fell in love with, I would bring up to him and be like, I love this thing about you, this unique feature of you, or I love that, or like whatever it was. And even if they were things that person was self-conscious of, I genuinely fell in love with those things. I made a decision to bring those things up to my partner to show them that every part of them is lovable. And I genuinely felt it. But like leading with you're not my typical type, I thought it was going to be blank and blank. That just can't feel good. And let's be real, Jenn is a queen. Oh, no. Wait, did I say Daisy or Kelsey? I think I meant Maria or Daisy. Sorry. But yeah, that is just poor choice of conversation on his part. Don't tell a girl that she's not your type, even if she's not. And instead maybe tell her the things that you love about her and that make her unique to you and that you find beautiful. And also, if you're falling in love with somebody, you probably should know a little bit more about their character to be able to describe their character and why they are valuable to you besides passion and physical intimacy. I think this is where Jenn got the ick. The kiss at the end was bizarre. It was bizarre, but okay. And then we have the group date night portion. Jonathon, my little notes here. Jonathon's a cutie. Grant is falling in love. And that whole scene was just vibes. That whole scene was vibes. And now we all know Grant is the next Bachelor. I'm so freaking excited, you guys. I literally think this is going to be an amazing season. Girls are going to be so obsessed, so interested. People are going to be signing up and fighting over this man. And I cannot wait to see how it happens because I literally wrote down on my notes, vibes. Like that, those were the words I wrote down because I was just like, he is such a vibe. Him and Jenn are such a vibe. I'm shocked that he's not going to hometowns, to be honest, but I'm not mad for the rest of us that get to watch his journey to find love next season of The Bachelor, right? Yeah, next season. So I'm excited. Okay, and then Jeremy had the next one-on-one. I loved this date. I thought it was beautiful. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of starting to fall off with the episode. There's just so long, but loved this one-on-one. I think it's great that they got more time before going to meet his family. I loved the conversations about Judaism and Buddhism, and I just thought the whole conversation around it is so beautiful. Blended families are such a beautiful part of America. I was just having this conversation at my gym with somebody who has like a very blended family of like just multicultural background, and he was like, yeah, it's just very, you know, it's so this or it's so that. And I was like, no, it's so American. Like, it's so American. Like, there's very few places in the world that really are a melting pot like the US. And like, personally, I just love that. I think it's so beautiful. And it's important to have these conversations early on. Both of these people, Jenn and Jeremy, feel very culturally attached to these religions and not necessarily super religious and have, you know, that like the expectation of their partner to like convert or whatever, but they both are like, yeah, I would want my partner to be open to this. And to put that expectation out there up front is so important, because that is the reality of dating to marry, is like, if you have expectations of a partner, it's important to say that up front. Yeah, great one-on-one date, super cute. Jeremy's going to hometowns. Bring it on. Okay, and then before the rose ceremony, this is where the flashback at the beginning of the episode happened, where Jenn is like, where's Sam? I just need you to verbally tell me one thing about my character as to why me, why we're gonna work, what value do I bring to your life? And he just like couldn't do it. And it was just all about like, you know, passionate love. And the very first thing she said was like a ferocious love, and all these things like that just don't hold value for Jenn at this point. Jenn dumped him and was like, I've closed this chapter of my life. I've dated you 1,000 times before. I have so many good guys out here that are seeing me for who I am and able to verbalize that. And she's like, I need to just walk away, which I think it's great. I love it. I think it's very powerful of Jenn. I know that was probably really hard for her because I know she had such a strong connection with him, but I think she made a great decision. And honestly, I wish the best for Sam. I know that this is really, really hard. I hope he's doing okay. But I also think like, one, it's an opportunity to grow. Two, it's totally possible that you did get an unfavorable edit. Obviously, the things that came out of your mouth, but at the same time, like as viewers, I think we do need to remember that unfavorable edits absolutely happen. And when people are leaning that way anyways, editors, producers, whatever you want to say, they're probably not going to make a lot of edits to help that person out. So no need for a pile-on, no need to go spam his account or speak crazy things online to him. Let's take it for what it is. He is off and we wish him the best. And then Spencer and Grant go home, which felt so sad. I like both of them, but Jenn has such a great group of guys at the end. I wasn't crazy about the guys at the beginning of this season. I really like these guys now. They've really grown on me. I love this final four. I love the final six that were there. I think that this is a really good group of guys. I'm so excited. I don't know what happens with Jenn at the end. They keep teasing that it's like, never before has this happened. I think they've been teasing that. So I'm curious to see what will happen. But either way, we love Jenn. So proud of her. I think that she killed it this episode. Really, really, really great Bachelorette. She's entertaining, beautiful, funny, smart. And I think that she's making really great decisions for herself. And I can't wait to see what happens next week at Hometowns.